righty, let's get the recording going. Welcome. I'm really excited for this. This has been something that I've wanted to get going in a group format for way over a year. And I'm actually going to give testimony to one person who pushed me, and he doesn't even know he pushed me to actually doing it, and that's Waldo. So thanks for pushing me to actually getting it done. Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah, you inspired me. I thought, nah, come on, get cracking on it. I knew I had to find a way to do this. And so here we are. So it's amazing to have you. Hello, Jerry. How's it? You managed to get in. All righty. So these are what I'm calling alchemy sessions, because alchemy is about a seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, and materialization. So I've got an overall goal. My overall goal is to help you guys design your life and no longer leave it to default. And that's all encompassing. But as Waldo's just, what did you call me just now? The breathing something or another, I don't know, but it was a compliment, so I accept. So what I'd like to do first and foremost, right out of that, is breathe together. Now, would you have expected anything else apart from breathe at the beginning of the session? In fact, every single alchemy session is going to begin with a breath work modality of some sort. This will also increase your knowledge of what's possible for breathing. So the one that we're going to do today is a bit of an activation, an awakening one. It's called the feather breath. Okay. So let me just get my timer over here. What you're going to be doing, than this either, is for 60 seconds, you're going to be blowing out short, sharp breaths out of your mouth. This is a great one, even for kids, to help get them focused. So I want to bring your focus in and attention here. So we're going to do an activation and awakening as opposed to a calming and relaxing one. So what you do, you're going to put your hands, like you can see mine, 10 centimeters in front of your nose. And you're going to pretend that you're holding a feather. And when I count down, you're going to let go of that feather and you're going to blow as if you're keeping it floating, which means that you're going to do out of your mouth short, sharp breaths. So when you're breathing in, pushing your belly out. Doesn't matter how you breathe in, but you want to breathe to get that blow out. You're going to be doing this for 60 seconds. So imagine that feather's floating in front of your nose and you need to keep it up. That's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be blowing, 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 blowing. Are we ready for this? So hold your feather. Hold the proverbial feather. There we go. All right. And 3, 2, 1, let your air out. Let go. Imagine that you're keeping it up floating, and if it's floating away, you've got to really get underneath and blow. That's it, Waldo. I think Waldo's got an ostrich feather there he's got to keep up. Really feel as you're blowing that your tummy is moving, that you're moving your belly. You want to activate your diaphragm, because what you're doing is you're reactivating your diaphragm. You're clearing out your stale air that's sitting in your lungs, and you're also activating that nervous system. And if it feels like it's blowing, floating down a little bit, come back into your breathing. Nearly there. 5 seconds. And a deep breath in, nice deep breath in, full breath. And a big sigh to let it out. All right, how are we feeling now? How are we doing? Got a bit of a buzz going here? Focus.
Yeah.
Wow, love it. A little bit lightheaded, quite possible.
Yeah, a little bit lightheaded.
Yep. That's because it's all that's because you're doing the breathing in and out of the mouth, which is that activation, fear, fight, flight. But lightheaded, but at the same time, awake and alert. Yes? Right. So there's a good one for you. If you're feeling that down and you want to have a little bit of fun. I like this one because when I do it in a group, in an audience, it always gets everybody up and they're laughing, and it sort of reawakens your nervous system and it clears out the stale air that's sitting in your lungs. So that's the breathing. Now, before I climb in and I actually start sharing my screen, and I'll tell you why just now, very quick introductions, just so that you guys can get to know each other a little bit, because we are going to be spending 16 weeks together, and it's going to get fun and serious and deep and transformative. So just a few seconds, who you are, where you are, what do you do, anything, and maybe one thing that not many people know about you. Who wants to go first? Just to share. You all know me. Waldo's going first. Go for it, my friend.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Waldo. I live in Langebaan. I am a civil engineer by trade. I work for the municipality. I'm the area manager for the area for Langebaan in another area. Been doing it for 13 years. I am a family-orientated person. I love my family, my kids, and my wife. And my expectation for this course is to discover what is the hidden gold within Waldo. I believe that we all are created with greatness, and I would like to discover what that greatness is in me. One thing that probably you guys don't know about me, I love music. I only read when I have to read. And I'm a very passionate person. When I have a goal in mind, I most certainly always make sure that I get the goal against all cost, sometimes. So, yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Thank you.
Thanks, man. The hidden gold that lies inside. I love that. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, okay, I'll go.
Go for it, Pippa.
So yeah, I've been living here. Yeah, I'm Pippa Horoff. I've been living here in the West Coast Fossil Park for the last 25 years. Moved up here from Cape Town, Cape Town to get the fossil park open and operating to do what we call public paleontology. So, so that's my field in archaeology, paleontology. I love geology as well, but I'm not well trained in. I didn't study geology. I have a deep passion for animals, plants, for every living thing, yeah. So I find I get rather deeply moved when like, you know, when those pilot whales get beached and so on. And because inevitably it's because of something that we have done, but we have to well, I don't know, I'm also listening to people who are saying we need to stop demonizing humanity, and that's something I find interesting to think about. What don't people know about me? Yeah, I enjoy music. I do drumming. Barefoot walking. Yeah,
Beautiful.
interested in.
Do you offer classes, Pippa, in drumming?
What's that? Do I
you
offer
classes in drumming?
No, but you must join our drumming evenings. We have them in Langebaan.
Wonderful.
Yeah. There's one coming up in August. I'll give you the details.
Share it on the group.
Thank you.
Please share it on our little
Yeah,
group.
I'll share it on the group. Yeah.
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 Wonderful. Thanks, Pip.
So yeah, and then just to end off, I'm hoping that this a course like this will help me age. Well, gracefully is the obvious one, but yeah, consciously, and in such a way that I don't become too frail. I want to be strong. I want to keep strong. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So I'm Rosie.
Oh, we got a feedback with two.
I'm going to put my sound off.
Yeah. Thanks, Walter.
Being American Waldo.
I can't hear you now, Jerry.
So I'm Geraldine. I'm married to Waldo.
Mm-hmm.
We've been married for 13 years. We met at school. We didn't go to the same school, but we met when we were 14 years old. My career, I've started a career in cosmetology, which I basically did for 10 years. But when I got my children, I stopped that and I started my passion in property. I like to make old houses beautiful. So I've done quite a bit of that, very hard work. But at the end of the day, I can stand back and I obviously feel proud of what was done to that specific property. For me, the journey, I also want to be stronger mentally, emotionally, physically. Get some skills how to deal with life in general, deal with some past trauma that I went through. I lost my parents at a young age. So I basically grew up as a solo child with my aunt. Yeah, so I would like to be a whole person and be this whole person in my household with my family. And that's why I'm on this journey.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Well done. Marvelous. Well, you guys know who I am, so maybe I'll just share. I think I did put on the WhatsApp group one thing that not many people know about me, that my first job was teaching old people how to swim. I can't remember if I was 16 or 17. I was a swimming teacher. I loved seeing these people who had this huge fear of water, but they were in their 70s and 80s. And they wanted to get over their fear of swimming. And I did swimming teaching for others as well, but I always remember it was teaching the old people to swim and just the sheer childish joy of achieving a milestone when they had swum their first width in the swimming pool. That was my very first job. So maybe looking back, I always had something about teaching and coaching in me. I don't know, but that's one thing about me that not many people know. All right. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to now share the screen here. And one of the big reasons for sharing the screen is not only so that it's just not me talking, there's also some visuals, but it keeps me focused on a certain structure that I put together. Otherwise, I can go sideways, but I'm aware of people's time, commitments, and also the fact that there's, I will go off track if I don't have it. Now, why can't I find where my share screen? There it is. Share screen. Hold on for me for a second. I must just get this going properly here. All right. Okay, so you should see, just confirm, because I see something different to what you do, just confirm that you should be able to see black screen saying week 1 alchemy sessions. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. You should still have me on your screen as well. Do you have me? Can you
Hmm.
still see me? You can. Okay. Perfect. Then I've set it up correctly. I'm trying a new setup here and it works, which is wonderful. Okay. Well, we've just done feather breathing. Now let's go to the agenda. So what I want to cover with you guys today is going to go through the structure of the program, going to talk about how to maximize your investment, your time investment, a bit more about my story and why I'm here and what I do and so on, and the importance of knowing who you are. So that's a bit of the structure of what we're going to be going through today. By the end of today's session, you'll have I would love you and would like you to have a clear understanding of the journey going forward, how to maximize your time, how to get the most out of this, and what is required of you and how I am here to help you as well. So that's the game plan. Every week, I'm also going to begin with a quote, sort of a thought-provoking quote. I don't know, has anybody heard of or read the book, The Four Agreements by Don Ruiz? Pippa, you have?
No.
Great book, phenomenal book. In fact, he's got another book which he co-wrote with his son. His son put the Fifth Agreement in. I don't know if Pippa, if you've read the Fifth Agreement. Well worth it. Well worth looking for. What Don Ruiz says in there is empower yourself, or someone with power will empower you and instill their values and their beliefs onto your life. And when you start to look at that, you realize, but this is what's been happening to so many, if not all of us, is we've inherited other people's values, beliefs into our lives, typically because we don't know what ours are. And that's a big part of the journey of discovery, which we're going on together. So I'm going to go through the agenda with you. You're welcome to make notes. I'm also quite happy each week to share my slides with you. So if you want to refer to them later on, absolutely no problem. All that I would ask is keep them for yourself. They're not for sharing wide. It is exclusively for you guys who are here on the program with me. Okay. So yeah. Alchemy section number one, I should say. So you'll see that the whole program is broken down into 4 sections, and each of them have modalities within it. So it doesn't mean that it's section 1 is going to be 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. They do vary in content, but this is to give you a complete structure of what I go through in the full program. So by the end of the Alchemy section 1, you'll have a clear understanding of who you are and who you'll become in your life journey. And the path of how you get there is going to start forming. So in helping you understand this, it's the first one is determining who you are now. So this is where we're going to be starting. And this is going to be then the first program of next week, Wednesday. Right? Determining who you'll become is then the next section. Identifying your gaps. A gap is an acronym for Goal Activation Plan. Discovering your core values and creating a purpose statement. Now, there's 5 different sections, 5 sections under Alchemy section number 1, but this section is the longest, and these alone will take us about a good 6 to 8 weeks. Okay? It isn't precise because it can vary in time depending on the interaction as well. So although it may look, it doesn't mean that this is 5 weeks. It will mean that some of it overlaps on a number of weeks. Okay? But that's the first breakdown of Alchemy section number 1. The second section of the program, by the end of this, you'll have a clear understanding fully of your driving factors, your dreams and your goals, often which are called your whys, your reason why you do what you do. Not only do you do what you do, but also that deep-seated inside why. That is your deep core motivator. So we go through goal setting, not your typical goal setting that you can go and Google. This is a different structure. Your main areas of focus to achieve your desired outcomes, because now you've already got a clear understanding of your values and your purpose. Now we start to connect your goals and your dreams and your ultimate life path to your values. Discovering your why. When I do the discovering the why, it's called 7 levels deep. You'll see that a lot of what I do is also about activating and accessing the subconscious mind. So you're going to start seeing a big connection between Alchemy Section 1 and 2 and the breathwork journeys. Because there's a very big overlap, and you start to see this and uncover it and notice the power and synchronicity of it as you're going through it. Because when I do the Discovering Your Why, which is called 7 Levels Deep, I would say 90%, vast majority of people discover something inside of them that they've never spoken about before. And it can be extremely moving and at the same time quite liberating. But that's going to come in section number 2. And connecting your who, which you've done in Alchemy Section 1, to your why. When you connect who you are to your deep-seated driving factor why, that's the ultimate point of inner power. That's the point now that you become unstoppable. So from section 1 to section 2 is a very, very powerful, a huge amount of introspective analysis, which just means digging deep inside. And this is also why every 4th week, it's one-on-one and not group, because there may be times where we need to individually dive deep in certain things. Okay? Before I go on, I should have asked the other one. Any questions on something I've spoken about so far? Oh, good. Nice. I'm just moving something around. Here we go. Great. Then Alchemy Section number 3, it starts getting a little bit lighter by this point, because now we're talking a lot more of theory than the actual practical work exercises. Yeah? So in section 3 is by the end of the section, you'll be armed and prepared to sail through any objections, hurdles, roadblocks that are thrown your way. We're talking about word swaps. Now, some of you, I think I've already spoken about word swaps once or twice, but I'll go into quite a bit more detail of them. That's about the magic and the power behind our language. 10 major roadblocks and change versus create. So the 10 major roadblocks, these are through 16 years of what I've seen people get stuck and stumble on. So again, this is not stuff you're going to Google on. This is from sheer practical application and working with hundreds of people over many, many years. What stops people from continuing to focus on their learnings, their dreams, their goals, and finding where they want to go? There's a number of things which are very rarely spoken about. We're going to dive deep on those over here. And then change and create is very much a discussion around people have a bit of a block when it comes to change. Because change means change for the better. It means there's got to be something bad. So again, it's also a word swap as well. But what if we start to create instead of change? One is about growth mindset. The other one can be negative. So there's discussions around this as well. Then Alchemy Section number 4, by the end of this, you'll have understanding of thought processes and words that will pave your way for progress. So we cover some of this during the sessions, okay? Forming new habits. A huge amount of what we talk about is how do we create new habits? And this is also then connected with, again, the breath work for the access to the subconscious mind, because our habits sit in our subconscious, not our conscious mind. So forming new habits, conscious versus subconscious minds, how it works, why it works this way.
Hello on the couch.
Your perceptions versus realities. Okay? Again, it's about how we see things and changing how we see things, which is about changing your paradigm. And then 5 steps from average to fortune, which comes from Jim Rohn. Phenomenal stuff that he's got. What's the next one there? Okay. So that forms the entire program. It may look, okay, well, that's not too bad. There's a lot of information, which is why it is over 16 weeks. However, The speed that we go through it does vary as we go through. And if I see that for some of you, we need a little bit more time, then that's what we'll actually end up by spending a bit more time on. Okay? So in other words, there's a structure, but there needs to be flexibility within it as well. Before I move on, any questions that come up? You get a little person with you. Pippa.
Yeah, Tim, if we're away during this period, and we miss a session, how does that work?
It's recorded. So
Okay.
then the recording will be available for you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll cover that shortly as well. Okay. All right. So because they're busy dealing with the little people as well. Okay. So, Waldo, you got any questions? Jerry? Anything that I've spoken?
No, I'm excited.
Good. All right. All right. All right. So how to maximize your investment? Investment more about time than money. Number one, stay connected. When you go to college or you're at uni, you have a choice. You can attend the classes or get the books, or you can attend the class and have the books. Which is going to benefit you the most? Which creates the highest results? Just going to class and not reading the books, or just reading the books and not going to class, or when you combine it?
When you combine it, definitely.
Combination.
Oh.
Right. Okay. So that's why staying connected is so important. It's the connection of it. It's not only the material that I share with you. It's not only the time that we spend on a Wednesday evening, or if you do a journey on a Monday evening. It is the time outside of this. That's also what the WhatsApp group is there for. If there's something personal, WhatsApp me. But otherwise, that's what the group is there for. This is about staying connected and staying plugged in on an ongoing basis. The information that you learn or that you pick up and that I share with you will be powerful. But it's what you do outside of our time that's going to give you your true growth. It's applying things through that. That's where you're going to find. So the next bit is then it's about the community. It's about staying connected. And that's what the WhatsApp group is there for. Use the group. You got a question, you have a challenge, you've got an issue for the day, you've celebrating something. I did this, that exercise, finished this, I'm struggling with that. Communicate. We're in this together. It's not just me to you. It's all of us. That way, you're going to find it ingraining in your life, because that's what it's about. It's about taking these habits, these new principles, these things that I share with you, and applying it on a frequent basis. And the more you talk about it, and when you share your experiences, what happens? It gets more ingrained, becomes part of life. That's the big thing. Okay. So we connect 7 o'clock to 8 every Wednesday, sometimes till 8:30. It'll entirely depend on the depth that we go into. I will always schedule 90 minutes so that if there's something even afterwards that you would like to go in deeper, I'm here. All right. So I'm always going to schedule 90 minutes. Please schedule 90 minutes. I don't want to have a great session and then we suddenly go, oh, run out of time, and you've got to run off for whatever reason. I don't know what it would be, but that's the way. Pretty much it'll be made up of 45 minutes where it's me sharing with you and giving you information and also the activities, but there'll always be time for Q&A. The worksheets and the sheets that I give you, we do together on the call, right? So it's not as if I'm talking and whatever, and then I give you a worksheet, off you go during the week. My experience has proven that doesn't work. I don't know about you, when you've been on a workshop or a seminar, webinar before, and you have this information, life happens. So we started, and majority of the time, we can't finish all of them because some of them do require your own time. But majority of it will be done together on the actual call. That's a very big part of it. Then, of course, we've got the breathwork journeys, which you've also got access to. So those are 8 p.m. You're welcome to attend as many as you want. Just let me know 24 hours before. As you've all been through the program already, there is no requirement of mine for you to attend them. So all that I would say, minimum once a month, like a top-up maintenance plan. So all you need to do is then drop me a WhatsApp 24 hours before so that I know that you want to attend. And they're always on Mondays at 8 p.m. Okay? So those are available for you, and that's through the entire 4-week process and program. Okay?
Yeah.
And as a bonus, I'm busy building an online community. Like, communities are the next big things which are coming up. And when I launch this, it's going to be launched in the next month or so. You guys being on this are going to get free access to this for 3 months after our program's finished, just as a phenomenal thanks for being part of the community, so being part of this program. So that community is going to be made up of free and also paid communities. Communities is a huge thing which is growing worldwide, and I'm busy building and designing my own online community, which is about, again, staying connected, because that's what it's all about, connected with like-minded people. All right. So that's staying connected, taking action. You're going to get a lot of material. What I'd encourage you to do is have a workbook that you're making your own notes of. I will send out, I'll try and do it. I should be able to. I will, in fact, send you the day before the worksheets. So on Tuesday, I'll send you the worksheets that we're going to work on the Wednesday. Print them up. They're all in printable. It'll be a PDF that I send it. So print it up. Have it with you so that you're working on it. Don't leave it on your computer. There's a huge difference with our subconscious mind when you're using a pen versus you're typing. So I'd encourage you to print it up. It's designed, and I've done it, that you print it up and then you physically write on it. Different things do come up from this, okay? So this material I'll send out to you. I'll do it the day before. So then you take action on it. Yeah, you got to do it, use it. So turn the learning into doing. And the other thing for printing it and working on it is it's on your desk, it's on your fridge, wherever you put it, that it's awareness, that it's around you all the time, so that you are constantly remaining, again, connected. Okay? Some of the things that you're going to work on, you may find a little bit uncomfortable. Good. The things that you find uncomfortable are the things that you need to focus on. So don't shy away from them. Typically, they're uncomfortable because it's an unknown, and that area is an area that needs to be known. So don't shy away from it. Some you'll find more beneficial and more impactful for you than other exercises. That's normal, but do them all. It's not a matter of, I want to do that one and this one and this one. As we go through each week, there's a synchronistic pattern, and there's a reason why I'm doing things in a certain order. And if you get to the end of the first, in the first alchemy section, there's under who, there's 5 different modalities. If you miss one, you're going to miss a piece off the conclusion. So they do flow through and would need some attention, some more than others. Okay? So that's the action that you need to take, and that's what you're here for. Document your learning. Each week, make notes. Make notes of what you're doing. I'd urge you to create a folder, put this together and I've shared this with you all, I think, that I've got that word that I created, transpirational, being a combination of inspirational and transformational. But for me to be able to help you do that for the long-term transformation, that this isn't just a program that you went on for 16 weeks and in a year's time it made absolutely no difference, then I failed. And that's not what I want. Absolutely not. So create this, print up the material, have a workbook with you, which becomes something that you're not only working with during our time, but also that you continue with afterwards, right? As I said, I'm happy to present my slides to you. If you would like them, just message me, but keep them to yourself, please. They're not to be shared. This is my intellectual capital. While I do use a number of professional other experts' information, how I've packaged it, and a lot of this is my own material that I've created over 16 years. Okay. So, yeah, then the recording, I do record it. And if you're not able to attend, then I'm happy to share the recording with you. Once the community's set up, that's all going to go onto the community, which you will then be on, and only those on the program are going to get this information. So that'll go on there, where you can then access the recordings. Until then, if you want the recording, just ask me for that. But it's available if you can't attend. And again, if you're not able to attend, just let me know. Just let me know. Okay. Alrighty, been through that. As Jim Rohn said, and as the slide there says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. And when I first heard that in 2008, I think it was, that resonated with me hard. It's what you do outside of your work or your business or your career that you then take within, which improves you. Not what you learn within the business. That's not going to get you that promotion, that growth, that effect, that whatever it is that you're looking for. It's what you do on the outside, and then naturally you bring in. And that's what Jim Rohn's busy talking about. Then lastly, you all shared a reason why you're here, which is phenomenal. It really sets I need to focus, helping Pippa retire gracefully to Waldo digging his gold. I've got my work cut out for me, and I'm looking forward to it as well. Make note, write down, what is it that you want to get out of this 16-week program? You're investing your time, you're investing your money, you're investing your brain power. You're putting some effort into this. When you have a goal of what you want, we'll talk about this to even clarify it, even if you're not too sure yet. When you start to figure this out, write it down. That's what that workbook is for. If you're driving and suddenly something pops into your mind, do you have a system in place where you send yourself a message, for example? So I've got my own WhatsApp group, a WhatsApp group of one, me. Okay? And if I'm suddenly coming up with something, I go onto it and I send me a WhatsApp. Then when I'm sitting at my desk, I don't remember what the idea was or the thought. I pull up my phone and there's the message. So come up with a way that you can keep track of your thoughts and keep track of that progress and uncovering and discovering new things that you want to get out of the time. Write it down. Make a note of your ideal outcome. And include also obstacles, challenges, things that come up that you haven't thought of before. Make a note of it. Yeah, make a note of it. Okay. Thoughts, questions before I move on to a bit of my story? Anything you'd like to share up until now? You could just do that. I can see you all. Pippa says she's happy. Or you can unmute.
I'm also happy. Thank you, Tim.
Great, great. There are going to be more people joining us in the next few weeks. It was meant to be Rebecca. I'm not sure where she is now, but there are going to be other people joining us. They're going to get these recordings and they're going to then fit in as well. All right. I feel it's a good point. Would you like to hear a bit more of my story? Why am I here? Why am I doing what I do? What drew me to this point of my life? Yeah? Well, I'll share a bit of my story with you. I have shared a little bit with you guys, either a snippet here or there when we chatted, but I'm going to go into a little bit more of a background, just so that you can understand who I am a little bit more and why I'm here and what sort of, you could say, qualifies me to being here. So I was born in Joburg, upper middle class family, nice suburb, nice school. My father was a workaholic, and this became a trait that I adopted. But in school, I was the guy that made the top half of the class look very, very clever. I was the guy at the back, man. Read my report cards, and my mom dug them out a couple of years ago, and they all say, Tim needs to focus more. Tim needs to stop looking out the window. But what they were telling me was boring. I didn't care two hoots for that. I think the only reason why I finished school is because they said, just get out, go, go. My folks are English, but that's their problem, not mine. So at 14, we relocated, moved to the UK when I finished school, studied, got a job, and that's how my life began. I went into hospitality primarily because I love travel. And I figured a universal language is waitering. Why not? The fact that I was an absolutely awful waiter was another story. But I traveled a fair amount, and it was pretty good. Then in 95, came back to South Africa. I truly believe that once a South African, always a South African. And even if they go, they're going to come back. And I did. UK, not for me. And that was when my career began. Follow the traditional path. Career, marriage, going to debt. Was going to debt after marriage, interesting. Had one kid. More debt. Bought a house, more debt. Chase, chase, chase. I was the rat. And off I went. And that was it. And somewhere along my journey, I got lost. And I only found myself at the very young age of 50. I called it my midlife reset. My family and friends, especially my parents, thought I was having a midlife crisis. And I said, no. This is a midlife reset, a midlife refocus, if you want. You can have it when you're 40, you can have it when you're 70. But it's a point of time in life where you turn around and say, is this me? So this became a new chapter of designing my life. And the whole ideas came to me complete by surprise. A couple of years after I'd quit my 27-year career in hospitality due to stress and on the verge of burnout. And it was around the same time that I'd lost a huge amount of money. In fact, all of my money through very bad investments. It all began, it was a chilly autumn night in 2018, so over six years ago now. And I remember sitting behind my desk. I was running a multi-million rand business, over 250 employees. And all that I could think of at this point was, I'm so flipping tired of being stressed. All around me, I just see problems. I couldn't find any solutions anymore. My marriage to Monica, we've been married 25 years now. How we're still married, I don't know. It's a miracle, but we are. But our marriage was in tatters. I always felt tired and sick, which is weird because I never do get sick. And I just knew that this was not what my life was meant to be like. But I didn't know how to get out. I didn't know what to do, where to go. At that point, I was extremely lonely, surrounded by people, but alone. I felt trapped like a rat running the race and never going to win. And I had no one who I could actually speak to. In fact, I tried to speak to somebody and it just did not work at all. It was sort of, I felt like I was being stretched by like an elastic band. And on one end, there was this authentic person that was the real Tim. But on the other end, it was the life that I was living, this stress-filled existence. And the further and further away that I got from my authentic self, the more stressed I became, the more anxious, the angrier, the more fed up that I actually became. And I knew that if I didn't let go and that band snapped, that would have been the end. And for many years, I said, I felt like I was either going to kill myself, I was going to kill someone, or worse, I was going to get divorced. So I let go. And it was a chilly autumn night. I stood up from my desk for the last time. I grabbed my bag. I remembered vividly. I walked out. I quit. I was done. Finished. That was it. It was over. It was the easiest decision I've ever made in my career, but at the same time, the most difficult one to make. And I was so tired, frustrated, angry, fed up, scared. I couldn't even drive. We lived in Blauberg at the time. I pulled over by the beachfront and I sat on the tarmac, leaning against my Jeep. I took this photograph on that night. You can see the date and the time. And that was the night that I made the decision that I need to start designing my own life and stop leaving my life to default. Stop leaving it under the influence of other people. And this was the first time I asked myself 3 questions. I asked them for many years afterwards. Why am I here? What am I actually doing with my life? And the biggest one for me of all, who the hell am I? I had no idea who I was. I'd gotten totally lost in chasing money. Because effectively, that business that I was running, I'd sold my soul literally to the devil. And for 7.5 years for money. And that's what nearly killed me. So at this point on this night, I decided to start writing a new chapter in my book of life. But I didn't know what to do. So I'd been in business on the side of my full-time job and career for many, many years. And I had business partners. I went into multiple different ventures. At the time, I decided, right, I want to have freedom. That's a big, big focus of mine is freedom, mind, body, and soul. And the goal to become a digital nomad, meaning as long as I've got my laptop and internet, I can be anywhere in the world. And it worked brilliantly for a while. But this was around the same time that the huge upheaval around the world happened, where the greatest thief of our century stole our freedom from underneath our noses. That's COVID, right? I don't think anybody's going to forget those announcements. We're watching those TV, right? You remember, can you put yourself in that place of what the hell's going to happen now? But the wife and I, we decided we weren't going to accept this crime. We never accepted it at all, any of it. And I wanted my freedom back. So I was still also searching for the answer to those 3 questions I said to you. We made a dramatic decision. And we sold our family home. There's a photograph over there, beautiful house in Blauberg. Gave away most possessions, packed up our things, put what we wanted to keep in storage, and bought a van, converted it into a beautiful, comfortable. You can camp. We're not campers, but we wanted a comfortable vehicle. We called it Bruno after our big Rotti that passed away. And with our 2 fur kids, we hit the road and traveled South Africa for 1.5 years. Freedom.
Oh,
I mean, come on, who doesn't love a road trip, right?
that's amazing.
Now imagine, Jerry, a road trip that lasts for 1.5 years.
Sure, that's a life.
Okay, that's all we did. Everything back then at the same time went online. With COVID, everybody suddenly went online. And that was brilliant because this really helped my businesses. Not only did that, but I was able to then, with this freedom of time of just traveling, I was able to go on so many webinars and seminars and workshops. Some were free, many were paid. As I was on that, I was on a journey of discovery. My mind needed to grow and I needed to find the answers, and I was out there doing this. And slowly a picture started to materialize as I began to rediscover my passion for speaking. You see, let me backtrack a little bit. In 2008, I'd started my own business. I was retrenched back then, and I started my own business. My wife started a business, and I became hooked on personal development. I'd met many very successful business people at this point, and I was told I was good at speaking, so I was asked to host a lot of presentations and business talks, and began doing a lot of speaking and mentoring as well within the networks that I was part of. And I loved it. I started doing a lot of my own presentations and webinars as well. And I never stopped doing that. Even through my corporate career, I carried on doing that within the business and also outside. So while I'm doing all of this research and really pulling in this amazing information and starting to discover who I am, I stumbled across this guy who introduced me to a tool to reduce stress and anxiety and create clarity and focus. And you now know that I'm talking about breathwork. And this was Brian from Bali, where I stumbled across him and he introduced me to transformational breathwork journeys, which you've all experienced. And that first journey was like a reset switch in my mind, my body, and my soul. And it started to become clear to me of what had actually happened to me those years before in corporate with the stress and anxiety. And the more I learned, and so I became fascinated and I started to study breath work. And it was then Yogi Lab from Bali that I studied transformational breathwork journeys to become certified as a guide, because I really started to grasp that there was way more than what was in fact possible that I knew was possible. And up until this point, I'd never known what had happened to me in the corporate world. And you guys have experienced some of that. So the first thing that I always talk about for reducing your stress, and this was a kicker for me, was finding out, shut your mouth. You've heard me say that before. I'm going to tell you again. Shut your mouth. Breathe through your nose. I mean, who knew that something so simple could have such a profound impact on your entire physiological state, mind, body, and soul? And so I'm now absorbing this stuff. We're still traveling. Life was great. I worked online for maybe 2-3 hours a day if I wanted to, every second or third day. We continued to travel, and I was slowly climbing back into speaking. Everything was online. So I started to do a lot of coaching and mentoring while I was studying breath work as well. So at that point, I wasn't mentoring. I was doing other speaking and other coaching as well. And then one day, the big crash. Not physically, financially. Overnight, we went from digital nomads, and I lost everything. The markets crashed. They plummeted. I was too highly leveraged and too greedy to see the problems, to see what was coming. I was ignoring it. I believed that I was safe. I was making so much money, and life was good. One night, I sat there and I literally lost. I watched millions turn into thousands right in front of my eyes on the computer. I thought walking out of my career was a low point in my life. Turns out it wasn't. That was a transitional stage. I then thought that this had to be the lowest part of my life. And still now I can feel in my gut, very vivid. I'll never forget that night. I thought losing 95% of my family's wealth, all the money that we'd made from our house, selling our house, which was the money to go for the next house. God, I thought that was a low point, but it wasn't. My lowest point was that I hid it from my wife. I didn't have the guts to tell her. And in doing that, I broke her trust. Yeah. I thought that was my low point. I thought, can't get worse than this. Turns out it can. It did. I was 50. Imagine at the age of 50, calling your parents, who are both on pension, needing to borrow money, asking them to send you money so you can buy food. The embarrassment, the shame, the anger. I felt a complete, absolute failure. That was my low point. That was my lowest low point. I was broke, but I was not broken. And for the first time, I started to get clarity in my life situation. It hit me hard. I found, and I looked at myself, and once again, I'd chased money. I'd gone down a path again that was not my true self, not my authentic me. I began to call this my very expensive university fees, which is exactly what it was. Rebecca's just come in. I'm going to just bring her in here now. Hi, Rebecca. Welcome. So, realizing that that was not my path, and realizing that I was actually discovering my true path. And it was thanks to great coaches and mentors. Dr. Joe Dispenza, maybe you'll recognize some of these names, Tony Robbins, John DeMartini, my breathwork coach in Bali, Brian, and also my business partner, Martin, in Cape Town. And I realized then that I was on the process of discovering my true path. And it took me to losing everything, apart from my wife, but otherwise losing, for me to realize, but there's a reason that this is happening. Remember, I mentioned to you that in 2008, I was introduced to speaking and running workshops and mentoring. And through all the years, that was sort of my side hustle, if you want. Okay? But it took a major slap for me to connect and go, but that's who I am. I'm a speaker. I'm a guide. I love it. It empowers me. It gives me energy. You know, in the years when we traveled and I was making this money passively, I wasn't energized by it. I was, in fact, stressed by it. And the reason why I was stressed by it was because there was no guarantee. So at that point, this is when I got that clarity and the kick in my bloody ass. And that I realized, but I know what it is. I know who I am. Why do I have to keep doing the same thing? I lost money, millions, 4 times, by the way. It took me 4 hits to realize that, hang on a second. So not even I learned the first time, but we don't. Okay, but I got up. And what I did is I combined 14 years at that time of information that I'd gathered, programs I'd created, workshops I'd run, and that I was still running and holding them. And I then compiled and put together what I called the Signature Professional Pointer Program. And when I then combined this with my newfound knowledge of stress release and anxiety, that's when the synchronicities of things started to kick into place. Now I wake up and I know exactly who I am, where I'm going, and why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's the magic and the difference. So, which is why now I speak to busy professionals, companies, you guys, amazing you guys. Thanks, Rebecca, for joining. I know you were busy. And that's why I speak to entrepreneurs, as I have been doing now for, where are we now? Just over a year and a half, on helping them design their life and not leaving it to default, and discovering your passion, your purpose, and your pleasure. This is what gives joy, peace, abundance that you rightfully deserve. The great news is you don't need to be as dramatic as I was. You don't need to walk out of your job, and you don't need to lose your fortune either. There's a way around it. That's what I'm going to be sharing with you. So I've now learned that these daily stresses, they don't go away. But once we learn how we can control our reaction to these stresses, that's when it starts to trigger greater clarity in your day. And that's what I hope and ask, and that I'll assist in you finding that greater clarity, influencing how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And the magic and power of how much of this is found through the control of your breath. I hope you'll start to unpack this as we're going down this journey. Control your breath, you control your life. When you control your life, you control your destiny. So we're walking this path together. I'm your guide, your mentor, and your accountability partner as well. This, and those of me there on stage, some of it, is what brings me to speaking to you guys here. What drives me and keeps me strong, gets me up at 4:30 every morning with a kick. I sleep in on Sundays. I'll change that. 6 mornings a week, with excitement and just the will to share and change and grow. So welcome. Now you've seen the background of how I've created what I've put together here. It is put together through the minds of multiple experts, and I will absolutely tell you, if it's not my own, I will tell you where I've got it from, and I give credit to whoever it is, material that I use. But pulling it all together is what makes this Signature Professional Pointer Program unique and stand out. Combining it with breath work, I have found only one other coach in Canada, Montreal, who combines holistic stress release practices using breath work with coaching. So I hope you're sitting in a unique environment as well. All right. Rebecca, welcome, welcome. Lovely to have you. We'll chat just now. I'm going to keep going as I'm starting to round up. I've got one section that I want to share, but what you've missed, you will get in the recording.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tim.
Okay. The importance of knowing who you are. So there was two major things during my journey as I started to identify where I'm going with my program and putting it together. There's two major things that I need to cover. The first was, why do so many people give up on their dreams and goals? Through all the years, I was known in certain circles and networks that I was running and coaching in, I was known as the why guy. Because I always was driving people, but why do you want to do this? What's your dream? What's your goal? The why factor. But it never seemed to be enough. People seem to give up on their dreams and goals and fall back to default status too easily. So that was the first thing I wanted to try and discover. Right? And the second was, how can I make this program long-term beneficial? That it's not just a program, and at that point it wasn't 16 weeks. It was only 4 weeks. How can I make this transformational for life? So those two questions is what I asked while I was busy putting together. Then the answer to the first one came through Simon Sinek, and I'll share more detail later. I'm just going to just very, very briefly blow over it, where he speaks about why. And as I'm doing various modalities of other coaching, I connected, but there's something before, and that's who you are, right? Who you are, not why you do what you do. And with this, we're going to go into a lot of detail, but I want to just go into about the importance of knowing who you are now to really start driving this home and leave this as your lasting thought as I round up today. So you're not here to suffer or struggle. For when you do suffer and struggle, this leads to stress. And when you're stressed, you're stuck. When you're stuck and stressed, you have health issues. Your health suffers. Your relationships fall apart and you don't grow. When you have challenges, you're going to have them. You're also going to have problems. But these are exciting. When you learn how to see the positive sign in these things, that's when you realize they're here to teach us. Challenges help us grow. And all signs that you're learning come from times of challenge. If I had to ask you, when do you learn the most? I've asked you some of this already. When do you learn the most? Is it when things go easy or when things are challenging? What have you found? When do you learn the most?
When things are hard.
When things are hard. Right? Exactly. So embracing the challenges, embracing the struggles, learning how to read and understand them, that on the opposite side of that is freedom, opportunities, solutions, because there has to be an equal and opposite. And when you struggle and you have fear and you have doubts, that stems from a misunderstanding of who you are, meaning that you're going the wrong direction. Sometimes we can be afraid even to give up to our greater self, so we carry everybody else's burdens, everybody else's beliefs, everybody else's words, siblings, parents, government, doesn't matter whose it is. And this creates the hard slog, the heavy burden to carry. It's likely you're carrying somebody else's baggage if it's weighing you down. So if you're finding that you're struggling, that you're living in doubt and you're living in fear, and that you've got more challenges and obstacles than great things, it could be that you're carrying other people's thoughts and beliefs. You feel alone, disconnected, loathing, hate yourself, not desirable. Those are not yours. It all stems because you don't know your true self. For when you know your true self, then it'll no longer be a load. Then you'll understand at that point that is not yours to carry. For too many years, you've been living a life of default, somebody else's belief systems. And you've engraved them in yourself. You've engraved them. It's in your subconscious mind. Some of you are releasing these beautifully already. I know, I hear your stories because of the breath work. That's the power of the breath work, is releasing and letting go of other people's baggage that is not yours. For if it was yours, it wouldn't stress you. You wouldn't feel alone. You wouldn't feel loathing and lost. So when you connect to your highest version of who you are, when you connect to the part and the place within you that knows who you are, then all the powers that you could ever want and need will be released. This is the journey of discovering who you are and is the foundation of everything you seek. Any personal development journey that you go on, when you are not aligning that growth, that lesson, that learning to who you are, will not have meaning to you and won't have a lasting impact. It took me decades to discover, and then even more years after that, to fully embrace and understand this. And I aim to fast track you in this search. You're already on it. There's a lot more to unpack. This is the beginning, the middle, and the end of the entire program. This is when synchronicities fall into place. This is when you find your true inner power. And from there, a lot of that negative thought, worries, doubts, fears, panic falls away. I could wish that on you, and that's why I'm here. There's my two fur kids. Focus on what brings you joy, focus on what you love, focus on what makes you happy, and let that energy guide you. I hope by now I've set a framework for what you're going to be going through. And my hope is that at the end, I'm going to hear your story, your transitional story, as I've shared mine with you. I want to get to know yours and your outcome, because this is the beginning of that new chapter, without a doubt. So I'd like to turn over the microphone to any thoughts from you guys. In fact, I've got a question. This is a question I'm going to ask at the end of every single session, every single alchemy session. The first question is, one takeaway of something that you've picked up today. Just one. Even if it's just one word or one sentence. One takeaway. Who would like to share? Pippa, you want to go first? Oh, you're muted, love.
Inspiring. You know, it is inspiring what you've shared with us. And I appreciate your you've shared deeply. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's meaningful and inspires hope and trust, which is really important, I think. Yeah.
Appreciate that. We've all got a story. We've all got a story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Walda, one thing that your biggest takeaway.
Firstly, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's very inspiring, and it's a story that's probably a lot of or thousands of other people's story. The only difference with you is you've made the choice to really discover or to run after that inner purpose that really speaks to you as an individual. And I think if I can summarize what Papa and Geraldine and myself has basically said, it's we all are in one. We all are on a journey in one form or another. And that journey is to truly discover what is, for me, is the hidden gems inside of me as an individual. So this first evening has just made me more excited. And I think what's really special for me is that me and Geraldine can do it together. And I think it's also a way how we can grow together and rediscover some other aspects of our lives also as a family. And hopefully we can make the millions and we don't have to pay the university price. And thank you for taking the challenge and accepting it. This is definitely most people's desire to really look the man in the mirror. And sometimes, or more than most, we need a coach, we need a mentor, we need somebody to be real with. And it is really something I've personally, I feel really fortunate to be on it, because it is so personal. You know, it really hits home. And you've mentioned a couple of things that we can expect. And thank you for taking the time and the journey with us to rediscover the why guys, who and the what. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Walter. Appreciate it. Jerry, one takeaway. Is she able to unmute?
Okay, for me, it's first of all, thank you, Tim, for taking us on a journey. Yeah, this is the first time that we have the opportunity to do something like this. It is like a reset and to like build new patterns in our lives. So we're excited. Thank you.
Pleasure. Wonderful. And Rebecca, maybe you just want to say hi and just very quickly introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Rebecca. I hope I'm in the right group though, because hey, I realize this is for entrepreneurship, how to and all that. But I didn't. I was late. I think I thought it was 8 o'clock. I just realized now you are going to the end. I missed a lot. I will try since this session is recorded. I will listen to the recording. Maybe by next week I'll have something to share. So yeah.
Great stuff.
I hope I'm in the right group.
You are definitely. I know you, Rebecca, and there's a phenomenal thing there. So yeah, I'll send the recording through to you, because at the beginning of it, I explain the entire program, exactly how it's going to roll out over the next 16 weeks. That you'll get all of that to give the clarity of mind and exactly how it all fits in.
All right, thank you, Tim.
All right, great. I'm glad you joined us. And over the next few weeks, I'm expecting a couple more people to get going. There was one person who couldn't make it this evening, so there'll be some more But the group is capped. I'm not going to do a big group because it does, as Waldo said, there's a lot of real personal stuff that is going to come down from here. And we're here to support each other. And that's very much what I love in the community. So please do go to the WhatsApp group during the week. It's about the encouragement. It's about sharing your wins. It's not always about what doesn't work for you, but put in the WhatsApp group what the wins are. And I'll be doing that as well. If you're having a tough day, put it on there. And that's a key part of what we need. You know, there's one, just to round off, the one big message that I'm getting from all over the world, and I network from Canada, the US, UK, Australia, and South Africa. The one big message I get is that people are feeling alone. They really, really are. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by advisors and family. Some things just you don't share in the workspace, or you don't want to share with the other half. So there's a need for communities, for the collaboration, for the collective. And very much that's what I'd like here, that we're all here in this process to support each other and help each other in the discoveries and celebrate the wins. Sound good? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I've loved this. I really am excited. I can't wait to roll out the next few weeks, because there's some of these parts of this program I really, really love. I know how absolutely phenomenal it was for me. Oh, and just as a point, everything that I share, I've either done or I am doing. Nothing is shared out of theory. This is all practical stuff. Presently doing, some of it I do again over and over, and I'll share that with you. But every single part of what I'm doing was and still is a part of my journey. So there's no theory here. This is stuff that I've applied. I know it works, not only personally, but from other people that I've seen and shared and learned and grown from as well. That I think is an important one. So thank you all very much. I'm going to leave you be. We see we've gone over, what's time now? 20 past. Okay, I said, there we go. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate you. So stay connected. Let's chat. I look forward to seeing you on Monday evening, otherwise Wednesday, 7 o'clock. And let's stay connected. All right, Rebecca, I'll send that for you.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll talk. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Great pleasure.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.